And welcome back to another episode of the Double Doink Podcast. My name is Brendan Deek. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It would be greatly appreciated. You can also rate the podcast and review the podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. It would also be greatly appreciated. We are talking Super Bowl 57 on this
Super
episode.
Bowl.
We also do it with my man, Thomas Petersen. Tom, what's going on?
I mean, we knew it all along. Right? Had no doubts throughout the entire season.
I think I did. Let me throw this here
knew
right
this
quickly.
season was special, right?
I thought they were going to be good this year, of course. I didn't know they were going to be this good. And I'm kind of having like I don't know if it's an epiphany or what, but I have this like weird vibe where I'm very confident in the Philadelphia Eagles winning a Super Bowl. And I've never felt like this before. Like even in 2017, like I didn't expect them to win. I didn't expect them to beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Like it was Tom Brady. It was you're kind of playing with house money at that point. Like I am 100% confident in this team, and I've never been 100% confident in the Philadelphia Eagles in my entire life. So I'm kind of in a weird spot.
Right. No, you hit it 100%. I mean, to begin with this season, nobody expected this. We knew this team was going to be good. We knew that it all depended on the quarterback, Jalen Hurts, and if he took a massive step, there will be Super Bowl contenders, and damn, here we are. I mean, and I'm go back and listen to the preview podcast for like we did here on the Giants and the 49ers. Was super confident, oozing confidence about this. Just as confident this time against the Chiefs. I think it's going to be a much tougher game, but just as confident.
Okay, so before we get into things, you have booked your flight to Philadelphia. You're going, baby.
Woo!
You're going.
How
excited are you?
I mean, they're 1-0 when I go to Philly in the Super Bowl.
Where did you watch last time? Like, where were you during the game?
Fillmore. The Fillmore, Philadelphia. I think isn't it in Fishtown?
That I don't know. I've been to Philly like 4 times.
No idea. I just know that as soon as the Eagles won, we ran for half an hour to get to Broad Street.
Is it just yourself going? Are you going with your girlfriend again?
Nope. Yanna's not going this time because we're going on a snowboard trip later in the month. And so if Yanna were to come, I mean, I love Philadelphia and the sports town that it is, but I mean, it's not a place where you're bringing somebody who's not an Eagles fan.
She wouldn't understand the vibes.
Now, and she was there in 18 for the Super Bowl there, and we spent a whole week. And it's like once you spend a week in Philly, like there's not really that much more to see. So she's not going this time. We spared that for the snowboard trip, and I'm going. And that way, if they lose, which they're not going to, it'll be what it is. And if they win, I will still get that 100% that experience. And yeah,
it's funny. I went with my ex-girlfriend. It was the Colts game. It was actually Carson Wentz's first game back, 2018. I mean, you're right. We did the Philly downtown, and it was a ton of fun. But like,
super fun.
Yeah, like in Uber, we did all the stops, the Rockies, the statue. We did the museum, of course, and it's a fun city for sure. And especially this time, like it's going to be absolutely buzzing.
Right, and also like disclaimer, I probably know about 10% of what there is to see in Philadelphia. Yeah. So when I say you've seen everything, I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Did you do the Liberty Bell, like the?
Oh yeah.
The Declaration was it Declaration of Independence? I don't know if I'm sounding like an idiot right now.
Art museum.
Yeah.
That other museum on the way to the art museum. Rocky, that whole thing. We walked the entire city.
Do you have plans of what you're going to do when you get there? Are you winging it? What does the itinerary look like?
I'm going to be joining Vince Quinn and John Barchard and watch the Super Bowl with them. Actually, I'll be staying with Vince. So that's going to be fun.
Nice. Are you doing any like pregame stuff there? Are you going to go live on a show, or is it just fun?
I think we're gonna go. I think we're gonna go live with the Bell and the Birdman. I'm not quite sure, to be honest. I'm just along for the ride.
Well, man, I'm happy for you. I'm excited for it. I am extremely jealous. I was telling my mom about your trip, and I was thinking to myself, I wish I could go. Unfortunately, just kind of started this new job 5 months ago, and I am working the day after the Super Bowl. And
hey, if it helps at all, I'll also be working on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday while I'm in Philly.
Well, have the time of your life, man. Let's hope we're celebrating a victory.
Oh yeah.
So because Thomas is going to Philadelphia and he's got a busy kind of end of the week schedule, he's jumping on a Monday. Usually Thomas fills in kind of as a co-host for Eagles previews. If you watch the show, you know how that rolls. This time around, it's going to be a little different since I have 4 podcasts scheduled throughout the week. I don't want to give all my takes out right away. So this is going to be kind of an interview style with Thomas. Thomas is going to kind of take the lead on this one. I'm going to be kind of sitting back and listening to some of the analysis. So let's start with the 49ers game. I just want to kind of get last thoughts. If you haven't already, go on Thomas's YouTube channel and watch some of the film breakdowns he did of that game. Man, your Jordan Mailata one was fucking awesome, by the way. I think that was your best video you've ever made.
Thanks, Brent.
I mean,
it made it. Jordan, Landon, Jason. I mean, they all made it watchable. I mean, it was so much fun to break it down, especially considering what the storylines had been leading up to the game and how the 49ers defense was like unbeatable. I think it's a broken record at this point. Whenever the Eagles are going up against the defense that's being talked about, one of the greatest ever, and the number one defense, you're pulling up all the statistics, Eagles just go in there and they just show why they're the best offensive line unit in the NFL. And what a time for Jeff Stoutland to get the extension right after that game. I mean, that should be the biggest news of ever since the A.J. Brown trade, dare I say. Since the A.J. Brown trade, this is the biggest news of the Eagles, transaction wire and what's been going on there. And that includes James Bradbury. That includes Chauncey Gardner-Jones and all of this. The fact that Jeff Stoutland is staying is so incredibly key to the success moving forward of the team and really the transition period we're going into here. Because let's say the Eagles win the Super Bowl, and I don't want to say worst case scenario, but let's say Jason Kelce and Lane Johnson decide to hang it up after the season. Like Lane Johnson playing through a torn adductor, if he doesn't want to deal with pain playing football anymore, won 2 Super Bowls. Jason Kelce, I mean, he's been looming with retirement for a long time. And either way, that's gonna if it's one of them or both of them or none of them, and they're gonna have to groom talent behind them for when they do retire. Jeff Stoutland is gonna be he's gonna have his hands full getting Cam Jurgens in there instead of Jason Kelce. What they're gonna do at right tackle whenever Lane Johnson hangs it up. I mean, now they have the left side solidified, center hopefully solidified. Is Jack Driscoll the answer at right guard moving forward? Who's gonna be right tackle? Is there gonna be some draft prospect? What are we doing here? So I mean, he's got his work cut out for him, and he is absolutely the best in NFL history to pull that off and to continue this incredible run of offensive line success that the Eagles have had.
So I'm actually doing a podcast episode in a couple of days, kind of about season takeaways, like what is the 2022 NFL season taught me. One of my takeaways is I would pay position coaches everything. Like, I want to know what the contract was that Jeff Stoutland signed, like how much money they gave him. I think they gave him probably a blank check. Like, literally.
They should.
He's worth every penny. Like, position coaches like Jeff Stoutland are like a dime a dozen when you have one in your building. Like, why not just overpay? There's no salary cap with coaches, right? Like,
no salary cap with coaches.
Exactly. So
the same thing with Sean Payton. I mean, he's going to get the bag in Denver.
So like guys like that, like one of my kind of takeaways from the season, I don't want to spoil the episode, but like Jeff Stoutland is kind of going to be my example for this. Paying a guy like Stoutland to stay inside the building is so important to the team. And I think you nailed it perfectly. Like, just take a look at the Eagles offensive line from like Jason Kelce, the best, to the bottom. Like there's so much talent and so much kind of development from these guys. It's amazing to see. And you can argue that 8 offensive linemen on this team could be starters, maybe even 9. And you can argue that all 5 starters on the team right now, from left tackle all the way across to right tackle, are top 10, maybe top 7 or 8 at the position.
That's just a fact at this point.
Yeah.
That's simply a fact. And the fact that when Cam Jurgens has gotten in, he's gotten like 50 reps this season. I mean, he's been in there. He's been physical. He's been athletic. I mean, he hasn't allowed any pressures whatsoever. I mean, it's a super limited sample size, and mostly he's been in there for running plays, and he's been doing super good. I mean, he looks like a guy who's ready. And if it wasn't because of what a legend Jason Kelce is, it would be an easy transition. But I mean, it's going to be super tough when Jason Kelce hangs it up because of the guy that he is. But I think Cam Jurgens is absolutely the guy for it. And it should go without saying, when Jason Kelce endorsed somebody like he did Cam Jurgens, and now has had him under his wings for a year, I can't wait to see what Cam Jurgens is going to look. And you nail it. We also had the discussion about Brian Johnson. I mean, take a look at the leap that Jalen Hurts has had this season. And I mean, it's always a little bit questionable, or at least it's a little bit uncertain when players take massive leaps. Like, what do you want to credit that to? Is that credit to the coach, or what coach? Is it a credit to the player itself? Is it the system?
Like, it's so hard always to dictate. Like,
it's so hard to dictate. But whenever you have a player make a jump like Jalen Hurts has had, you don't want to mess around with what's around him. You want to hang on to what's been working. And if that's Brian Johnson and the influence that he has had on Jalen Hurts, if Shane Steichen doesn't leave, and that doesn't leave a natural OC opening for Brian Johnson to take over, they're going to have to they're going to have to put a check in for Brian Johnson to make sure that he's not leaving for a job elsewhere.
Jeremy Fowler of ESPN reported Brian Johnson's a hot OC candidate. There's still a bunch available, so it's if Steichen stays, it's probably more than likely than not that Brian Johnson is gone. He deserves you don't want to be your goal as a quarterback coach is to be an offensive coordinator and then become head coach, right? So you can't blame the guy for taking the opportunity if it does come. But my point is if you can open up the bag and Howie Roseman can write that check and say, hey, there's the money worth it. Steichen maybe gets a head coaching job next year, then you're kind of next up at OC. So I think position coaches, especially good ones that you kind of see progression and the work pay off for you, are just so important. Okay. Last thoughts on the 49ers game. Is there anything else you want to get off your chest?
From the 49ers game, I mean, Eagles defensive line was super dominant, and they whooped the 49ers offensive line. That resulted in a few quarterbacks leaving the game. And even after they left the game, the offensive genius of Shanahan couldn't draw up something to move the ball downfield. Eagles shut them down. I mean, it's simple as that. Eagles dominated on both sides of the ball, on the line. Tough going for the offense to begin the game. Kind of disappointed in that. I thought they would come out with a little bit more fire, but
I thought field position had a big part of that too.
Had a big part of it, but also didn't help. I mean, the reason that the 49ers even scored a touchdown in this game was because they took the ball over at the Eagles' 45-yard line due to a butch punt from the Eagles' own end zone. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, field position did play a role in it, but I mean, kind of a result of a lot of three and outs to begin with for the Eagles' offense as well. So, and Jalen Hurts to the A.J. Brown connection has been shaky the past few games here. I thought this was going to be a massive get-right game for A.J. Not get-right, but a bounce-back game from the Giants game where there were some missed opportunities, and he was wide open down the field against the 49ers where Jalen Hurts missed him. Again, I just want to say, that was illegal contact. Again.
Thank you. That's what I was going to point out. Like, I think the timing was just misjudged, like just a little off there.
The time was perfect. It was yet another illegal contact play. I mean, it was the same thing against the Giants. That was also illegal contact. I don't know why he's 15 yards down the field. That should be called every time.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought like the throw was it was overthrown, but like that was
overthrown when he gets
That was a timing route that they practiced probably 100 times in practice, and it was because A.J. Brown was held back. Like, if let's say A.J. Brown had a free release, like he should have, because you can't touch a defender or an offensive player down the field like that, I think that would have been closer. A.J. Brown had a chance of catching that. So I do think there were kind of just some misplays on Jalen Hurts' part. Even like Devonta Smith had a ball that hit him right in the chest down the sidelines. Kind of a little bit of a hard catch, but I could hit him directly right in the chest. Like Devonta Smith,
A.J. Brown on a slant as well, hit him right in the hands. He dropped that as well.
Exactly. So Devonta Smith makes that catch 9 times out of 10. So I do think Jalen Hurts, like my eyes saw, I saw what I saw. Hurts did kind of sell some throws. He had some throws in the dirt. Devonta Smith made a really nice catch on third down, kind of on a throw, kind of in the dirt. Kenneth Gainwell also had made a nice play on a throw, kind of low. Like Hurts wasn't like hot, like he didn't play his best game. But I do think there were a couple plays that kind of just, if they went the other way, of course, the Hurts stat line looks better, and there's a whole different conversation happening.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, agree.
Okay, let's jump into this game, Thomas. First question, we're going to start kind of the Kansas City Chiefs side. What scares you the most about the Chiefs besides Patrick Mahomes? Mahomes out of the question.
Offense in general. I mean, if we're going player specific, I think I'd say
any aspect of the team that scares you outside of Patrick Mahomes, because he's the easy answer here.
Yeah, I guess the easy answer as well will be Travis Kelce.
No, you can go Kelce. Of course, my next question is going to tie into him. So,
Right. So then let's leave him until a little bit later. I say Isaiah Pacheco. I've been really impressed by Isaiah. To the point where I had to look him up to see where did this guy come from? Why wasn't he someone who was
Rutgers,
picked up
baby, 7th round pick. It was funny. I have some
seventh
tweets.
round rookie? I mean,
Yeah, so I have some tweets like in the buried because I was a big Pacheco guy during the draft process last year. I went to go scout Bo Melton. Bo Melton was a wide receiver at Rutgers. I think Bo is on the Giants practice squad. I don't know exactly where he is now. Went in to go watch Bo Melton. Came out loving Isaiah Pacheco. And I have some tweets. If Isaiah Pacheco wasn't playing the Eagles and he was a Super Bowl against another team, let me pull those tweets back out and saying that I saw this guy before everyone else did. But let's not go there. Anyways, keep
I love it. You should do that. Absolutely. Get it out there. Get all the Pacheco.
If they weren't playing, I don't want to flex my Isaiah Pacheco love when he has a 25-yard run on the Eagles, But
right. I guess we've seen too many times good quarterbacks tear up the Eagles defense, and I'm not sure I buy into too much of the. Before, I haven't bought too much into specific offensive coaches going against the Eagles offense and really game playing around them. We've got to give credit to Gannon and the job that he's done this year. I mean, the defense is at the point now where if they do to the Chiefs what they've done to the 49ers and the Giants and so many other teams this season, they're on the verge of being a historically good defense. I mean, let's just face the facts. If they get into the 80s in certain terms of sack totals on this on this season in this game here in the Super Bowl, the stats are simply there that you're going to look at this defense here and have to acknowledge that it's among the best since the Zeros, since 2000. And that's kind of, I mean, it can go both ways because at one point you can say there's that to it, but also if it's the same thing as last year when they gave up 80% completion percentages to one quarterback after the other, if it's going to be that type of game, it's going to be a really long game, and that can definitely happen. But when you're looking at the Chiefs' offense against the Eagles' offense, I have a gut feeling it's going to be kind of the same ballpark as Super Bowl 52. Like it's going to be an absolute shootout, and it's going to be simply a matter of outscoring Patrick Mahomes.
Shioka Potty of The Ringer had this tweet earlier today. I thought it was really interesting. Just going to your sack totals. The Eagles have sacked the opposing quarterback on 11.5% of their pass plays, the highest mark of any defense since at least 2000. The difference in sack rate between the Eagles and the number 2 Patriots this season was the same difference between the Patriots at number 2 and the Bengals at number 29. Like, it kind of puts in perspective how crazy the pass rush has been for the Eagles.
That's what's going to carry the defense in this game right here. If my gut feeling is right, this is going to be a matter of what defense makes that one play.
Yeah.
Like literally the same thing that we had with Brandon Graham's strip sack on Tom Brady. Like that was the difference in that game. And I just have that feeling that's going to be the same thing here. Hassan Reddick type play where he comes in strip sack, an errant throw by Patrick Mahomes due to massive pressure. I mean, the big difference I think from what Patrick Mahomes is going to be seeing from this Eagles defensive line, what he's been seeing the rest of the season and the rest of this playoffs here. Patrick Mahomes is really good at escaping edge pressure, but he hasn't played teams with a 3-man inside front where that features a Javon Hargrave and a Fletcher Cox coming up the 3-tech in the B gaps, because then that limits the space that you have to escape out of the edge pressure. And if he hobbles around, that ankle starts getting a little bit sore throughout the game. This can get really ugly.
So this kind of ties into my next question. How should Gannon play this offense? So the Chiefs are number 1 in EPA per play, number 1 in DVOA. They're tied for points per game with the Eagles. This is the best offense in the NFL. Eagles offense has been great. The Chiefs have been a little bit better. This is a new kind of challenge, I guess, for the Eagles in 2022. If you're in Gannon's shoes, like, how are you game planning against this team?
I would go about it exactly as I imagine they went about it against the 49ers. Now, of course, we didn't see the exact look that we wanted to see against the 49ers. I think they switched the game plan up as soon as Brock Purdy couldn't throw a pass. They were playing a bunch of man. We saw James Bradbury lock up against against George Kittle on a number of occasions. And I don't think they're going to be sending a ton of pressure at Patrick Mahomes. I think he's going to have that same man type defense behind it with zone defenders underneath, or an extra zone defender over the top. And it's going to match that into man coverage, and then try to beat the offensive line of the Chiefs with a 4-man pressure. And I think that because you want to have as many guys as possible to take away the quick game for the Chiefs. I think Andy Reid is going to be dialing up a ton to relieve the pressure off of Patrick Mahomes. He's still playing with a high ankle sprain, and Andy has the guys around him to do so. I mean, Mecole Hardman right now looks like the only guy who's not going to be playing for the Chiefs.
I'm curious to see what Kadarius Toney's status is. I haven't.
Right, that's going to be big as well. Yeah. I mean, Kadarius Toney is a big factor, but I mean, McKinnon, Pacheco, Kelsey, Smith-Schuster, and that other guy who had a massive game against the Bengals.
MVS, Marcus.
MVS, yeah. Right? He popped out of nowhere, but that was more to the point of like they didn't have anyone else. I mean, all their receivers went out in that game. This is a banged up Chiefs team, and that's I mean, you never want to hurt opposing players, but if they can start hitting Patrick Mahomes and make things uncomfortable, that's the recipe for success for the defense.
For sure. Yeah, I think the game's going to be won Eagles D-line versus Chiefs O-line. Like I think it's the biggest matchup to watch. How would you attack Travis Kelce specifically? Man to man.
I think definitely man, because otherwise that's a too easy check down. He's going to have the same game that he had against the Chargers, like 1 million catches for like 4 yards a catch.
Yeah, Travis Kelce's like EPA is first in the NFL against zone coverage as tight ends. It's like 6 as a man-to-man. It's not too big of a drop-off, but you got to take that advantage. And I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson on third down manned up against Travis Kelce is kind of the way to go. But it's pick your poison, right? Like he's the best tight end in the NFL.
Kind of is, but I think you want to get him before he gets the ball, and that's why I think man coverage is the way to go about it. I mean, he's too good of a player to maneuver around and pick up extra yards. I think Bradbury did okay against George Kittle. I mean, it wasn't too pretty at times. They won the one big catch they had, even with Josh Johnson in there, was with Bradbury on Kittle. Mm-hmm. I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is probably the best option, simply because he's super athletic and he's a super physical guy. And if there's one guy who can get into the head of Kelce, it's going to be Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. If you mix in Chauncey's trash talk with Brandon Graham, I think you can get into the head of Travis Kelce.
How do you think Steve Spagnuolo, an offensive coordinator of the Chiefs, is going to attack this Eagles offense? Like, what do you think they're thinking?
I think they're going to go with the same kind of the same looks as the 49ers did. I mean, I think DeMeco Ryans had a pretty good game plan against them. Going to spin off the list a little bit, but we saw a bunch of looks where the 49ers had 7 guys at the line of scrimmage, and they either sent everybody or they dropped 4 out of that and just sent a 3-man pressure. A lot like Tampa Bay did in the wild card game last year. Not too much pressure, a bunch of guys in coverage, and with a weird look pre-snap that Jalen Hurts had to read post-snap. So he couldn't just make his decision and then go and get rid of the ball, and that way to confuse him as much as possible. Now, the thing about the 49ers game that we saw was when they sent 7-man pressure, we've seen Jalen Hurts a bunch of times not like tuck the ball and try to get out of the pressure and then throw the ball. What he did in this game here against 49ers, only once, but that's more than enough. That's more than I need to see that he's in that mentality of when he's got this 7-man pressure in his head. He flogged it immediately to A.J. Brown, who made a spectacular catch to pick up the first down. But that's what you want to do because he has the space when it's man-to-man coverage. And you have to make a quick decision. That was the guy. He was in breaking. It was against man coverage. He put it in a spot where he could catch it, and he did. Later in the game, they sent 7 guys at the line of scrimmage again. They dropped 4. They only have 3 guys in pressure, and that confused the heck out of Jalen Hurts to begin the game. But then after, later, he settled in a little bit more. He started distributing a little bit, getting the tight ends involved, getting the running backs involved. When he didn't get what he wanted, he flung it out to Ken Gainwell. He picked up 7 yards. Flung to Jack Stoll. He picked up 4 yards, and so he made those plays positive. But I think that's going to be the same thing that Steve Spagnuolo is going to be dialing up here. I think it's going to be more blitzing. I think it's not going to be that many 6 and 7 and 8 man pressure. I think it's going to be more into the 5 area where he's going to send some pressure coming from elsewhere, like DB blitzes.
Secondary cornerbacks are going to be
exactly right. Speed blitzes off the edge, and try to catch the Eagles' pass protection lacking one one guy being accounted for.
Yeah, he's gonna dial up some DB blitzes for sure.
Absolutely.
Spagnuolo's a funny guy. Like, he's been around forever. Of course, he was defensive coordinator of the Giants team that beat the New England Patriots like way back in 2007. He's a smart guy, man. He's coached playoff games. Like, this guy's been to Super Bowls. I kind of agree with you. I think the best way if I was the Chiefs to go about this is I would be blitzing on third down a lot. I'd be trying to not allow over the middle of the field. Like, don't let Dallas Goedert kind of get those free releases and whatnot. They're going to have to win the one-on-one battles on the outside. Like, you're going to have to get a couple 20, 30, maybe 40-yard plays from Devonta Smith and AJ Brown on the outside if you kind of want to keep up. Like, those, and that's why you have those guys. That's why you go and trade AJ Brown. That's why you draft Devonta Smith, just kind of for these moments, right? Who's an under-the-radar guy that you're looking for the Eagles? Who's kind of in that little brain of yours that you think is going to break out?
I think Kenny Gainwell is going to
be. Oh, yeah, baby.
Let's go again. I mean, I think you had it perfectly when you said this year's Corey Clement is Kenny Gainwell. He's been absolutely terrific in each of the Eagles playoff games. I mean, the catches he made against the 49ers defense and the way that he followed the blocks in the middle and spun off contact whenever he met it in the gap or in the hole. I mean, it's just he's such a disciplined runner. He gets what he has to and just a little bit more. And he's a chain mover. I mean, he's what I like to call a positive play guy. Whenever he gets the ball, something good is going to happen. Very rarely do you see anything where he like spins out of control or makes a massive mistake or misses a gap or something like that. And the Eagles are going to use they're going to need that. They want to keep the Chiefs defense on deck. And if we're right in that they're going to send a bunch of blitzes and a bunch of pressure on Jalen Hurts, well, the best way to go about it is to have your easy checkdowns be available there for you.
That easy button, baby.
Right, exactly. And that's going to relieve a lot of pressure off of Jalen Hurts. And he's got the guys to do that. The Dallas Goederts, the Kenny Gainwells, the Miles Sanders, the Boston Scott. I mean, those easy completions, those easy check down plays, and running the ball.
I am like all over Kenneth Gainwell in this game. Like, we're going to be talking about best bets in a little bit. But, man, like, I think he's going over receiving. I think he's going over receptions. I think he's going over carries. Like, I don't know what the hell happened to him. Like, in between the wild card round, like, he looks like a different player, man. Like, go watch. Like, if you just go watch his highlights, like, from the last 2 weeks, he's got juice now. Like, he always has. Like, if you've been listening to me talk on this podcast the last 2 years, you know I'm a big Kenneth Gainwell guy. But, like, he's showing everything that I saw in him at Memphis. It's funny. Like, if you go think back, like, Tony Pollard was Kenneth Gainwell's backup at Memphis. Like, this isn't like something new here. Like, Kenneth Gainwell is awesome. Like, he's been waiting to kind of break out. And it's really cool to see him kind of get the production now. Like, he had 12 carries, I think, against the Giants. He had 14 carries. I think like 4 of them were in garbage time, but that's double-digit carries in prime time NFL games, like in the playoffs. Like, the Eagles are starting to trust him more. He made a really nice catch, and he had that big play against 49ers. Like, you got to get the ball in his hands. And I really believe that he's going to have a massive game.
And none of those plays are 60-yard run. And then you have a massive variance where a ton of the plays are negative. And it's really like the average per play is kind of, biased in that direction or misleading in that direction. I mean, when he has an average of 4 yards per carry, it's an average of 4 yards per carry.
Mm-hmm.
And the variance is super slim in there. There's not a big spread in between, his production.
Okay, a couple more for you. What do you think the biggest matchup advantages that the Eagles have in this game?
Eagles receivers against the Chiefs DBs. I mean, they've been really stacked up, or at least stepping up for the challenge. And they have how many? Is it like 3 or 4 rookies in their secondary?
They're starting two rookie cornerbacks. I don't know if they have a safety. I know for sure 2 rookie
They
cornerbacks.
had one against the 49ers who got in there a ton. They had Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson.
Yeah, those are
and then Joshua Williams played a lot in for L'Jarius Sneed, who went out a little bit against
he
the
went out
against the Bengals.
Yeah.
And so they had three rookies in the secondary. Then of course, George Karlaftis out of Purdue at edge, and so you're going up against the defense with 4 rookies, and a lot of them are in the secondary, and one of them is going to be going up against Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson. So if there ever was a time for Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown to show off that best buddy chemistry and pull off a game like they had against, say, the Steelers in this season, that is absolutely. I think Devontae Smith can cook whatever the Chiefs put at him. So I'm just super confident in the Eagles' offense against this Chiefs defense. If Jalen Hurts doesn't have the jitters and he's calm, he's cool and collected for a Super Bowl in his second starting season, it's just, I mean, that's probably one of the biggest disadvantages for the Eagles and the Chiefs is that Patrick Mahomes has been in these spots again and again. This is the first time for Jalen Hurts, and if the jitters are there and he sees pressure that he's not comfortable with, we might see a couple of mistakes that we were used to seeing 2021 Jalen Hurts make.
That's one of my biggest kind of like worries about this game is the pressure getting like not the pressure, like
the physical pressure, the mental pressure.
Yeah, of getting to Hurts. Like, look, this is a lot for this kid, right? Like, this is his first Super Bowl going against Patrick Mahomes with like all the pressure in the world on him. Like, it's not easy. This isn't like, and the thing is, like, too, the narrative's going to be if he loses, like, he can't do it. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that he can get back to the NFC Championship game next year as well.
For sure.
And like, I just think keeping his eyes downfield, keeping his eyes up, keeping his eyes focused is going to be so key. Like, don't drop your eyes. Don't look at the rush. Just look forward. Back to your wide receiver in the secondary comments. The Chiefs have allowed the second most touchdowns to opposing wide receivers this year. The first is Dallas Cowboys. We saw how Gardner Minshew tore apart that Dallas secondary. So, like, the matches are going to be there. Do you know who finished tied for second with the most touchdowns to opposing wide receivers this year? Can you guess what team?
I mean,
do you know what Jalen Hurts' best passing game this year was against the Tennessee Titans? The Tennessee Titans are second on that list. So some good foreshadowing.
The AJ Brown game, also the AJ Brown game.
Like, that's the AJ Brown Jalen Hurts game. Like, Jalen Hurts was awesome that game. That was his best.
Would you say that is the Jalen Hurts AJ Brown game, or was the Steelers?
There was kind of both. I would say the AJ Brown game is the Steelers game. I would say the Jalen Hurts game was the Titans game. Like, Hurts threw for 308 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He was like just slinging the ball around the field. Like, just go back and if you want like confidence in Jalen Hurts as a passer, go watch that Titans game. Like, he was awesome that game. So
I mean, go watch literally any game of this season. You're gonna there's a few one that doesn't stand out as much, but Jalen Hurts is a passer, man, this season. That's the big thing, right? Even if they lose the Super Bowl, I mean, we just can't be disappointed in this. We have a guy who I mean, it's so unlike 2017, right? Because in 2017, when the Eagles won the Super Bowl there, the direction of the franchise moving forward was also like was still in doubt. Like, looking back, maybe if it wasn't as apparent then, looking back at it, Carson Wentz coming off the ACL injury, what do you do with Nick Foles afterwards? I mean, there was a big discussion point, and it just seemed like whatever way they were going to go about it afterwards or after the Super Bowl just wasn't going to be as smooth. Here you have a quarterback who led you all the way to a 14-1 regular season record, and now he's 16-1, including 2 playoff wins throughout for the season. It's been carried by Jalen Hurts, so to the point where if they win the Super Bowl, it's amazing. Like, it's a 24-year-old quarterback who just led a team to the Super Bowl win his second season. If they lose, there's nothing to be worried about whatsoever. You have a super young quarterback who's proven all of this and carried the team all the way to this point. I mean, you want to win the Super Bowl, but I mean, we're going to be disappointed if they don't. But it's a win-win. It's a win-win season regardless.
Okay, so I got 2 more questions for Thomas. Before we get to that, support for today's episode comes from True Classic. As a people-driven brand, True Classic believes that the clothes you wear should make you feel confident and comfortable so you can show up as the best version of yourself every day. This is your one-stop shop for all your wardrobe essentials. The shirts have a premium fit that's tighter in the shoulders and biceps for that extra boost of confidence. From t-shirts and polos to activewear, denim button-downs, hoodies, joggers, boxer briefs, and everything in between, they have everything you need. Time to upgrade your wardrobe today. Finally, a brand that keeps things consistent. True Classic is built and designed for a man's body, so no matter which product you buy, you can feel confident that you get a premium fit that's consistent across all styles. Break up with your go-to shirt and make the switch to True Classic. Get comfortable, get going, and upgrade your wardrobe with True Classic. Get 25% off at trueclassic.com with code DOINK. Free shipping is included on all purchases over $100. 100% risk-free guarantee with a 30-day return policy. You can't go wrong. It looks good, and it feels good for a reason. All right, 2 more for you. Do you have any best bets that you like? And we kind of discussed this before the show. I know you haven't fully taken a look, but is there any, like, you don't even have to look at the odds, but is there any props that you may like or anyone that's kind of catching your eye here?
What is A.J. Brown anytime touchdown at? Do you know?
A.J. Brown's anytime touchdown is plus 120.
Yeah, I'll smash that.
So you would take the over on that?
Oh, he's getting a touchdown.
No, not the over. So you like that was receiving yards.
A.J. Brown anytime touchdown. That's going to happen.
I think that's making my card too.
What is Boston Scott at?
Boston Scott's anytime touchdown is plus 550 right now. Ooh,
I mean, he's scored in the last 2 games. He's
3 games, three in a row.
Oh yeah, 3 in a row. I mean,
Yeah,
he's been super active on the in goal line situations. I mean,
that 10-yard touchdown run was pretty nice against the 49ers too. That was a great run.
Yeah, I mean, Boston Scott just has a knack for finding the end zone when he's around that 10-yard or less.
The Chiefs' kickoff coverage is 29th in the NFL. And Boston Scott, if you were to average his average yards per return over the entire season, he'd be 4th in the NFL. Maybe a kick return touchdown from little B. Scott. Who knows?
I mean, there's an added bonus to that anytime.
Yeah. Can I throw one your way that I kind of like? I'm going to do a whole betting show later this week, so I'm not going to give everything away.
Ooh.
But first Eagles reception, A.J. Brown plus 240. What do you think about that? They target A.J. Brown on a slant right away and against the 49ers. They seem to like
kind of get him going.
Early, kind of get him involved. I don't mind that one.
That's true. They did do a lot against the 49ers. We're not going to see it. No, I was thinking that they did a bunch of tight end chips on the defensive ends and then releasing a tight end out as the check down option. They I think Hurts targeted Jack Stoll 2 times and Dallas got it 1 time on that. If the Chiefs came out with a massive blitz look to begin with, that may be a route to go. But then again, he'll be impressed. No, I think I like yours better. Either A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith will probably be the ones there. A.J. Brown, I think, is a good bet. I mean, Nick Sirianni is the kind of guy who's looking at A.J. Brown the last 2 games and seeing he's been having like down games and saying like we're gonna get this guy involved early and then get him in a groove so he can feel good for the game. I think that would definitely be a Sirianni type move. I mean, he's one for the storyline. So I also think that's why, I mean, Boston Scott keeping his touchdown trend going here. I mean, that could be like put a little bet on it. And I mean, A.J. Brown, and how do you make your quarterback in his first Super Bowl feel good? I mean, you get the connection with his best friend going early. And I think that's a good bet, Brent.
Okay, let's cap this baby off. Thomas, before we head to Philly, how's this game going to go? Give me a score prediction. Give me any last thoughts you have. Hit me.
Shootout? 41-33.
41-30. You can't be serious. I don't know. I'm hoping
bet on it.
I'm hoping people understand that score prediction.
If they don't get that reference, I don't even want to discuss it.
I don't even think I could handle that. I think I just floated to space.
I mean, we had the Saints scoreline.
Oh, I forgot even to brag about this. I predicted 31-10 in the NFC Championship game. It was 31-7. I was pretty close.
Ooh.
Remember on the I think what you predict, I think you predict like 31-14, 31-17. I think we both got 31 correct.
Yeah, I mean, we both predicted shutouts there.
Yeah, we were money on the NFC Championship preview.
But I mean they got the 38-7 already in the playoffs here. They're not going to go with the same score line against the Falcons because that was a shit show of a game. That's just not what this team is about. 41-33.
I'm just trying to think of like how do you get to 33 because it was the Patriots had what 5 touchdowns and they had 2
Brent,
missed
you're-
extra points, right?
You're,
So
you're
that's why-
overthinking it way too
No,
much.
no, I'm just trying to think of how do you get to 33 points. Like it's kind of a weird
How did the
number.
Patriots get to 33?
No, that's what I'm trying to say. Like they scored 5 touchdowns and they had 2 missed extra points, right? Like so predicting,
right.
like, so it's just kind of
Safety?
a funny. It was a weird score. I wonder if that was scoregami too. I didn't even
Safety?
Yeah, you could get
31 and a safety?
Yeah, that's another way.
I don't know.
All right. If it's 41-33, I'm posting this on Twitter, going viral.
Oh, yeah.
All right, man. Enjoy your trip to Philly.
If that happens, just make sure you get that in the background. Get the full thing.
100%, baby. Thomas, my man, thanks so much for coming on. Thank you for everything all year. It was a blast doing podcast. This is going to be our last preview episode. Enjoy Philadelphia. Be safe. If they do win, try not to die on Broad Street. I know you'll be a good boy, but
we'll see. Can't guarantee anything.
If
I don't die in a plane, I'll take my chance. I'm so afraid of flying.
You are really?
Yeah, I hate flying.
Oh,
Anytime there's like a noise changing in the flight, I'm a nerve wreck.
How long is the flight from Copenhagen to Chicago? That's where you're going, right?
Too long. 8 hours, 9 hours.
Interesting.
I hate it.
Have fun on the flight. Maybe download Super Bowl 52 on your phone and watch.
Ooh, that's a good. I was thinking I'm gonna be watching like Chiefs and 49ers and Chiefs and whoever, Chiefs Jaguars as well. Like kind of scout the enemy a little bit, get my mind off the plane.
Go watch the Chiefs Eagles from last year. Maybe you can find some nuggets or something like that. Actually, that was not a very fun game to watch.
No, that was a shit game. I'm not gonna watch that.
I was going back and looking at the stats and just even remembering, like Jalen Hurts was really good as a passer in that game. That was kind of one of the first, like I was like, okay, Hurts has got something with throwing. I think he for like 320 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Gainwell was also really big in that game. Kenneth Gainwell had 91 yards and a touchdown total.
I mean, nobody's surprised. Nobody is surprised.
All right, man. I'm gonna let you go. Thanks so much for doing this, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Please check out the sponsors, True Classic and BetterHelp. I got episodes coming for you every single day going forward. Really cool interview coming out tomorrow. I'm not going to ruin and spoil the guests, but really big guest coming on tomorrow. And then we got a Super Bowl betting preview later on in the week. I got so many bets.
You got everything.
Oh man, this is a huge week. Excited, pumped
Where
for
else
you.
would people be?
Sorry,
hit the subscribe button. Where else would you want to be?
Yeah, hit that subscribe button. Exactly. There we go. Anyways, guys, I'm out of here. We'll talk to you later.